Welcome to Roger's Cooking Show 101, Season 2, Episode 1. This is Chelsea's vegetarian barbecue meal for all. I'm telling you guys, if you get a sample of this, you're gonna say, well, I might not be a vegetarian, but I might try this recipe some other day because, it is so tasty. If you like anything teriyaki, like teriyaki beef jerky or teriyaki steak or whatever, I'm sure you're gonna love this recipe. But you know, it wouldn't hurt to put a little ribs and chicken on the side too. To let you know, the idea for the show came about because Chelsea, my niece, she tries to eat vegetarian most of the time. If I had to eat this as a vegetarian, I would love it. Now in today's show, I'm going to be demonstrating how I prepare barbecue teriyaki portobello mushroom sliders, a basic coleslaw recipe that my dad taught me back when I was a kid, not too long ago, by the way. And I'm also going to throw in a bonus scene of Roger's world famous Mango Salsa. I'm going to show you how I chop, dice, slice, squeeze, and put it all together. And finally, I'll show you how to put all this together into a work of art that's gonna make your family and friends water at the mouth as they see you putting this together before they take that bite of the scrumptious. The ingredients that I'm going to be using are Hawaiian slider buns. These are made specifically for sliders. Portobello mushrooms whole. Your favorite teriyaki marinade sauce. You need salt and pepper, and that's about all you need for the teriyaki mushroom marinade before you barbecue them. I'll show you how I make coleslaw really quick. You need a head of cabbage, some mayonnaise with 2 ends. Remember, I learned that back in season 1, episode 4, I think it was. White vinegar, sugar, or Splenda. If you don't want to use sugar, you can use Splenda. Salt and pepper to taste, and that's the basic coleslaw recipe. I'll show you how I slice and dice the cabbage and whip everything up for that. And then finally, I'll show you how I prepare and slice and dice the ingredients for the mango salsa. And you know, in the end, you're gonna see what it looks like on the plate. Those of you who've been here before in my kitchen like this, you know, it's that time of the show. It's Roger's Joke Show 101 right now. So I have a couple of mushroom jokes for you. You knew this was coming. So there were 14 mushrooms sitting at the lunch table. Another mushroom asked to join them. And then one of the mushrooms said, sorry, there's not much room here. You're gonna have to go sit somewhere else. Why did the mushroom go to the party? Anybody? Why did the mushroom go to the party? Because he was a fun guy. That cracks me up. Let's get rolling. And I'm gonna show you quickly how to clean a portobello mushroom, Roger's Cooking Show 101 style. So make sure you have a trash can handy because it is messy. The first thing you want to do is just scrape off the gills. These are called gills on the bottom side of the mushroom. And when you do that, you want to be careful not to break up the mushroom. You just want to get all of the nasty gill stuff out of there. It's kind of like dirt, but it's still part of the mushroom. It doesn't hurt you if you eat it. If you try this yourself at home, be sure that you're careful. Don't rush through it. I've done this many times. And just come up with your own technique that's safe. When you clean the mushroom, you want to get it to a state similar to that there. That's a clean mushroom. Now, if you don't have a knife, another way you can do it is tear the stalk part off, and you can get a metal spoon and kind of grasp it that way and use it kind of like the knife, but you have to be sure to support the back side of the mushroom as you scrape, otherwise it's gonna tear it up. Once the mushrooms are clean, then I simply use a Ziploc bag, chuck them in there like that. But once you get the mushrooms coated in the bag, then you want to kind of flatten them out without making a mess. Push the air out, and then voila. You don't have to go more than 20 minutes, but up to an hour. When you're marinating the mushrooms, they are like sponges, so any liquid that you marinate a mushroom in, it's gonna soak it up pretty quick. The mushrooms that I'm going to show you right now took about 20 minutes of marinating. And I saved these because I put the mushrooms on the barbecue. I came inside prepping for the show, and then I said, oh shoot, mushrooms, barbecue. And this is what we got. Luckily, that only happened to like 4 of those things. But I wanted you to be aware that, man, when you barbecue mushrooms, you gotta be on it right there because they do cook pretty quick. Anyways, that's the final product off the charcoal barbecue. Mango salsa. Mangoes are delicious. The reason I knew they were ripe is because they had a sticker on them that said ripe. But another way you can tell, when I pick mangoes, I make sure that they're not rock hard. If you push on the mango, there's just a tiny little give to it. And that indicates that there's juice in there, it's ripe, the texture is good. The first part of my demonstration here, you can just pay attention to how I'm doing this. You might have your own technique. I've learned these techniques from watching cooking shows and YouTube for a long time. It's something that you can practice and, you know, maybe come up with your own safe technique for chopping vegetables and other things. But one thing you want to do is curl your fingers back away from the blade. And when you do that, you can just run the side of your knife along your knuckle with your fingers curled in. And so I'm gonna quit talking for a second and pay attention to it. It comes out nicely diced with all uniform diced pieces. And then the next part, this is how I clean a mango. Mangoes have like a square seed in them. They're about that big. It's a seed that runs through the middle of the mango. So you want to be careful. The seed runs this way. And so you want to start with the knife at an angle, being careful not to let anything slip. You have to be careful and pay attention to what you're doing. And then when your knife slides down, you want to be sure to not cut the seed and just cut around it and get all the flesh. The best part about cutting a mango is this part. I developed this technique that I use for filleting a mango, and I would suggest you practice doing this, but I've learned how to just fillet the meat right off of the skin of the mango, but it's not something that comes really easily. There's another way that people will do this. They'll take a knife and score the inside of the mango like this. And then they'll cross cut it like this, being careful not to cut your fingers, right? If you don't have experience using a knife, be sure that you slow down and watch what you're doing and don't lose focus. And then if you simply just push the back through like that, then you can just slice off the chunks of mango. Then you take the chunks of mango, put it in your bowl. One other thing that I use for mango salsa is jalapeno. When I buy jalapenos for a recipe, I buy 2 or 3 jalapenos. The reason is you never know how hot a jalapeno is going to be. When I made mango salsa last night, Marcus, my nephew, I had him taste the jalapeno with me, the first one that I opened up. And man, it was hot right before it hit your tongue. And so I grabbed the second one that I got just for that reason, knowing that one of them was probably hotter than the other. And I sliced that one open and we took a bite, and you got like a bell pepper taste at first and then a little heat after that. And I thought, yeah, that one's perfect. So if you're doing a recipe with jalapenos, I would suggest you buy 2, even if it calls for just 1, for that reason. And also, some people I know have to use gloves when they're handling chili peppers. I have found that I don't need to, but for safety, you probably should, and maybe wear glasses, because, you know, it all depends on your sensitivity to these types of things. If you cut the jalapeno in half, roll your fingers back. This is called the julienne, so you julienne the slices really thin, like that. And then you line them up like this, and cut them perpendicular into the size pieces that you want. And I suggest you cut them small. And then you just add that to the, another part of mango salsa is the lime juice. You simply just cut a lime in half. And I have one of these lemon squeezers, one of these apparatus. You can put a lime in there and just squeeze away like that. You could just take the lime and squeeze it like that if you want. And then cilantro. Mango salsa won't be good without cilantro. You want to make sure the cilantro is clean. It doesn't matter if you have the stalk in there. The cilantro stalk is just as good as the leaves, but you do want to pick out like some pieces that look like they might not be as fresh as others. And then when you're cutting or chopping any leafy herbs or vegetables like this, you want to roll them up like this. It's called in a chiffonade. Then cut perpendicular to the roll. Being sure to keep your fingers out of the equation there. And in the end, you get some nicely chopped cilantro. When you go to crush the garlic, you want to be mindful that there's a sharp blade there. Don't just do it like, oh, here, boom. Then next thing you know, you have a big old slice on your hand. So you want to make sure that you're careful. You want to get the skin off the garlic like that. Make sure there's no other skin laying around. That stuff will get caught up in your teeth. I know. Then get any brown, nasty junk off of there. And then after the garlic is crushed, then you need to be careful when you're slicing, but you really want to make this fun. Then once the garlic is done, you just take it, put it in a bowl, mix it up, and voila. Mango Salsa 101. That smells so good. You know, it's not just Roger's way or the highway. It's any way you want to make it. But you have to be careful. You're using a knife. Don't cut yourself. So there's mango salsa. I swear, I didn't come up with these, but I thought they were funny. So, you know, a man got arrested for selling tropical fruit on the side of the road, you know. As I was walking by the police officer making the arrest, I said, hey officer, that man is just trying to make a living. Let that man go. I know you're laughing. Let's go on to the cabbage jokes. Oh. So, here's a quote. Any leftover cabbage can and will be shredded and mixed with mayonnaise. That's coleslaw. Get it, coleslaw? I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about the coleslaw. This is my dad's coleslaw. I call it my dad's even though you can find a recipe online. It's because my dad made this cabbage or coleslaw for me when I was a kid. When I was a kid, my mom did most of the cooking, but you know, my dad did like the barbecue stuff. And he taught me how to make homemade coleslaw. It's really simple. So this is homage to my dad as I remember the way that he taught me how to make homemade coleslaw. There's nothing fancy about it whatsoever. What you need for my homemade or my dad's homemade coleslaw is a head of cabbage or a half a head like I have here. You need lemon. So there's cabbage, lemon. You need salt, pepper, mayonnaise with two ends, and vinegar. And you have to be careful with anything that you slice. I cut the cabbage in half. I need to slice the core out now. And you just cut at a V angle like that to get the core out. And then that goes straight into the trash. And cabbages are pretty solid. They stay together pretty well. Unlike lettuce, you know, you cut that off the lettuce and it'll just fall apart. But you want to curl your fingers back, take the knife and cut as thin of a slice as you can or want. Being careful and take your time. Then you could have this half a head of cabbage sliced up in less than 5 minutes. And then another thing you could do with the slices of cabbage, you can cross cut it like this kind of like the KFC way. Leave it stringy like it was. You make it however you think would be appealing to you and your family and friends, right? So then all you do is toss the cabbage in your bowl like that. Now we make the sauce part, the dressing part. You need about a half a cup of mayo. I'm gonna use about a quarter cup. You want about a half a teaspoon of pepper. You want about a half a teaspoon of salt. You want about a tablespoon or so of vinegar. And then I'll put some more lemon juice in there, about that much. And finally, I don't know if you guys are picking up on this, but these ingredients everybody probably has at home to make coleslaw dressing. But you want to stir it and mix it with a whisk to smooth it out, make it more creamy. Add sugar, about a tablespoon or so of sugar. Mix it up. And what you want to do before you pour it on the cabbage, you want to taste it. You want to taste it before you put it on, because if you pour on some coleslaw dressing and it tastes nasty, that'd be kind of funny when your friend takes a bite. That's pretty good. So I just added a little bit more sugar, and then voila, you just dump it right on top of all that chopped up cabbage. Mix it all together. And for the coleslaw, you want to sit for it doesn't have to, but it's better if it sits for a few hours. I made some last night and it sat for about 10 minutes and it was still good. There you have it, Dad's basic coleslaw recipe. But now we're at the point where we're gonna slap this bad boy together. And if you were here for Roger's Cooking Show 101 In and Out hack, they had a sequence, a special sequence of how the ingredients go on. Here's the special sequence that I came up with, me and Chelsea came up with last night. The first thing you want to do is add a little bit of coleslaw on there. Remember, it's not just Roger's way or the highway. It's any way you want to do it. This is just the way I'm doing it right now. And boy, did it turn out pretty good, I'm telling you. Put as much cabbage on there as you want. Try to drip the juice off the cabbage so it doesn't soak up too much of the slider bun. Then you go say, all right, I want a piece of mushroom on that thing. And then you go, which one do I want? Well, personally, I would want that one. And I would put it right there. And then I say, ooh, I think I'm gonna take that one too. Yum to the E. Ow! God, this smells so good. And then finally, I would put that mushroom on there. Then you want to make them pretty. You know, presentation is half of it. Then this lovely, delicious, oh, so fresh tasting mango salsa. And then finally, you can go like that. Like that, and like that, and say, doesn't that look good? Roger's Cooking Show 101, portobello mushroom slider with mango salsa and Dad's Coleslaw. God, the heck. The first thing you get is a hint of teriyaki, then the freshness of the salsa comes in and the crunch of the coleslaw. I swear you guys and girls, man, this combination isn't just for vegetarians. This is for somebody who wants to eat good for a simple recipe just like I showed you. I hope you guys make this sometime. If you do, take pictures and send them to me.